What is negotiation? Why is it important? Is negotiation more of an art form? These are just some of the questions I get asked all the time by other realtors. And the answer is negotiation is your ability to understand what's important to both sides and find a compromise. Hi, I'm Sam Wilson, the Sam Wilson Home Selling Team at eXp Realty, and I'm the realtor helping realtors. In this case, I'm the realtor helping realtors with negotiation skills. Hey, there's way too much to cover in one video here. I've been studying this for years. When I was at the Coca-Cola Company, I negotiated deals between the likes of the NFL and Coca-Cola, Disney and Coca-Cola, local sports teams out in Los Angeles and Coca-Cola. I learned a lot about negotiation, folks, and these were long-term negotiations at extremely high levels. I was in up to 2-year negotiations on some of these deals, and I even negotiated with the city of Los Angeles on things Coca-Cola wanted to do to market things like the Olympic torch relay and the World Cup soccer event and the Super Bowl. So I know a little bit about negotiation, but I'm not here to teach that. I'm here to mastermind about it, because in real estate it's something different. Hey, with those big companies, as intense as those multi-million dollar, hundreds of millions of dollars of negotiations were, they weren't emotional. They just weren't, because they were corporations with billions of dollars. But in real estate, negotiation's 100% emotional. You've got buyers and sellers and their most important transaction and asset, their house. Their families are involved. It's very emotional. So I'm going to just give you a couple of tips on what I think negotiation is about and why I think realtors can do a much better job of it. The first piece of this is, and I know this can be a little tough to hear, but you've got to be able to communicate to your clients, especially your buyers, and this is a value stack about working with buyers, that sometimes they have to consider walking away. That's right. Even as hard as it is to get a home in this market when I'm making these videos, you have to get comfortable with telling your buyers it might be best for them to walk away. Rule number one in negotiation, whether it's billion-dollar corporations or $500,000 homes. You can't negotiate if you're not willing to walk away. That's rule number one. But let's talk about how to negotiate to keep things together rather than to separate. So in order to negotiate to keep things together, it's really simple. You've got to take the time to learn everything about your buyer, what they want, and why they are buying. Let me go all the way back to the top of this value stack, which is having your buyer presentation. The first 3 pages in my buyer presentation is finding out what's important to my buyers. Before I ever talk about what sets me apart, my team, how we're going to better serve them, what's in it for them, they don't care how much I know till they know how much I care. Be interested instead of interesting, and you'll have much more success negotiating. Here's what I mean. The first 3 pages of my buyer presentation are why the buyer is buying. It's just a questionnaire, folks. It's just a questionnaire. What's their why? What's important to them? What do they want in a house? What are their must-haves versus want-to-haves? And how are you going to listen and understand those needs and then play that back to them so they know you understand? They know you listen. They know you're interested and they know you care. So now it comes time to negotiate. You know what's important to them. You know their must-haves, deal breakers. You know their want-to-haves, compromises. It's that simple. Then I talked in an earlier video about who you work with matters. So when you're negotiating, you've got to know what's important to the seller to represent your buyer. So if you've taken the time to learn that, what's important to the seller, educating the listing broker on who they work with matters, you, then you're going to have a much easier time finding that overlay of how to bring this transaction together successfully for your buyer. And still make sure that the seller successfully gets to the closing. It's really that simple. So that's all negotiation is. Make sure you're taking the time to understand what's important to your buyer. Take as much time as you can, get as much information as you can from the listing broker about the seller's wants and needs and motivation if possible, and then you can negotiate. So it's one of my favorite topics. You can tell I've negotiated some huge deals in the corporate world and in real estate. Look forward to masterminding with you about this, as well as this whole value stack about working with buyers. I hope this value stack's been helpful to you. You can tell it's one of my more passionate topics. And with that, I'm Sam Wilson, the Sam Wilson Home Selling Team with eXp Realty, the realtor helping realtors. And I look forward to seeing you in the next value stack, which is about building your team. Thanks for watching. I'll see you over there.